Earlier in the month, or it could have been last month because I'm doing this voiceover hella early, we ran Excelgor through Pokemon Black. It's terrible, it's the worst Pokemon I've run to date, but part of me thought it would be good because as a lead for Alder, it tends to give my solo Pokemon problems pending. Well, there's another Pokemon that tends to give my solo Pokemon problems pending, and that's Druddigon, namely veteran Hugo's Druddigon and ace trainer Dara's Druddigon. Both of them are in Opelucid City Gym, and both of them have given me blackouts in the past during these runs. And in the past few videos mentioning Sheer Force and the Life Orb, I think it's appropriate that we run this today, so let's see how fast Druddigon can beat Pokemon Black. Rules are in the description. When it comes to base stats, Druddigon has great attack and great defenses, but it's lacking speed at base 48. And as you know in these runs, Pokemon with low speed tend to perform poorly in the post-game, but maybe Druddigon won't fall into that category. To quickly cover its move pool, we actually start with the move Hone Claws, a setup move from the get-go. It increases attack power and accuracy, and we'll get some decent options early on in Bite, Dragon Rage, Slash, Crunch, and Dragon Claw, all before level 30. From there we get Chip Away at 31, Revenge at 35, Night Slash at 40, Dragon Tail at 45, Rock Climb at 49, Superpower at 55, and Outrage at 62. Before I get into abilities and TMs, the last thing I'll mention is that Druddigon is in the medium fast growth rate, so by the time I defeat both of my rivals, I'm still only level 5. However, once I defeat N, Druddigon will level up to 7. Jumping ahead to Route 2, I battle the one mandatory trainer before taking on Bianca. I set up to +2 with Hone Claws, which still isn't enough to one-shot her Lillipup, but she just burns her one potion on it, and it's not like this thing or her Oshawott are going to be able to do anything to my dragon at this point in the game, or at all during this playthrough. Once I reach Striaton City though, I do head to the Dream Yard to battle the two trainers and grab my Elemental Monkey. Druddigon hits level 9 during this and learns Bite, which having a 60 base power move with the ability to flinch, combined with a setup move in Hone Claws, Druddigon has nearly everything it needs for a smooth early game. After my Dream Yard training, I head to the trainer school to face Charon, and like Bianca, he isn't a challenge just yet. I set up twice with Hone Claws and one-shot both the Tepig and Purloin. Now, let's take on the first gym leader. Since I replaced Snivy as the starter, we're going to be facing Chili today. This battle is really simple for Druddigon. Since I have Hone Claws, I set up to +3, and Bite can one-shot the Lillipup and his ace Pansear. I level up to 13 at the end of the battle and can learn Scary Face. Speed control might be useful this early on, so I teach it in the place of Leer. Jumping ahead to Route 3, I'm only going to battle one optional trainer in this nursery area, because I want to grab the hidden Ultra Ball in the sandbox to help with catching HM users. I do the one mandatory double battle here, and then I take on Charon. I should note that I have not saved the game to this point, and I didn't think I would need to until after I defeated Lenora, and Charon punishes me for that, because Tepig's first use of Ember burns me, and I'm just going to speed this up because I don't end up winning this attempt. While I do make it to his Purloin and hold out hope for a crit from scratch, it does just over half, and Purloin knocks me out, and this is my first blackout of the run. It's not too much of a time loss though, since it's a short run back to Charon. This time around, I set up to +2 as Tepig just goes for Defense Curl and Odor Sleuth. I can two-shot it with Bite and one-shot his Purloin with Scratch. Jumping ahead to Nakarine City, after depositing my HM users, I head to the house to the far left to get the charcoal from the girl after telling her Tepig was my starter. My thought process was to sell this later on. I'm also going to exit town and head towards Pinwheel Forest and grab the TM for Rock Smash. While I do teach this move to use against Lenora's gym trainers, I don't plan on using it against her, because Druddigon is approaching level 18 where it learns Dragon Rage, which will be a two-shot on both the Herdier and Watchog. And as I battle this nurse for a free heal later on and head south to fill out my party, let's cover Druddigon's TMs. There's a lot of variety in terms of both physical and special moves. Of course, since I went with an adamant nature, I'm going to be avoiding all special TMs. But if you ever wanted to build a special Druddigon, you have everything you need, especially with the Charge Beam TM on its learn set. But you would also need the right ability to pair with it, and the abilities that Druddigon has access to are not bad. Its two main abilities are Rough Skin, which inflicts 1/8 of a Pokemon's max HP and damage back if it makes contact, and the ability I chose today, Sheer Force, which boosts the power of moves by 30% with the trade-off of removing additional effects. Here's an explanation straight from Bulbapedia, and I wish I read this in full before doing this run, and the last paragraph is key for me. If and only if a move is boosted by the effect of Sheer Force, several effects that normally happen after attacking will be skipped. It then lists off a few items, one of which is the Shell Bell, which I did pick up in this playthrough, and there were times I was wondering why I didn't get any healing after attacking, and I had a gut feeling it was due to Sheer Force, and now I know. Thanks, Bulbapedia. Its hidden ability is Mold Breaker, which breaks the mold, as it says when you send a Pokemon into battle. I feel like it'll never get old saying that. Mold Breaker, for those that don't know, moves can be used on the target regardless of abilities. An example of this is hitting a Levitate Pokemon with Earthquake, or any other ground move. Let's get back to the playthrough though. Before entering Lenora's gym, I have to face off with N. He's not a challenge, I just set up twice with Hone Claws and then 1 or 2 shot his team. Druddigon will hit level 18 while in the gym and learn Dragon Rage. So let's jump right to the toughest gym leader in Unova, Lenora. Herdier is first. I don't care about Intimidate because I'm just going to spam Dragon Rage in this fight. I was also confident that I was going to win first try, so I saved before her and put on a Chesto Berry. I have to 3-shot Herdier thanks to her using a Super Potion, and I luck out against Watchog, as it misses a Hypnosis and hits its second, but my Chesto Berry negates this. A first try at Lenora. It's been a while since I've had one of those. While in Pinwheel Forest, I'm going to battle 2 trainers that will make accessing a rare candy later easier. After knocking out this Woobat, Druddigon levels up to 21 and can learn Slash. Sheer Force won't boost the power of this move, but a 70 base power move with an upside to crit is nice. As I exit Pinwheel Forest, before entering the Sky Arrow Bridge, I'm going to talk to the hiker here and grab the Quick Claw. This could come in handy later. Once I arrive in Castelia City, I'm going to do the regular errands, grab the TM for rest, then head to the Battle Company for some optional training, and to grab the Scope Lens, drive Team Plasma out of town, and then head to Berg's gym. One thing I like to do in Nackarine is purchasing healing items such as Super Potions, but also items that heal status conditions, like Antidotes and Paralyze Heals, because the Venipedes with Poison Point here are annoying, and purchasing the Paralyze Heals saves a little bit of time once you get to Nimbasa, before you have to head to Elisa's gym with all the static Emolgas. Anyway, Poison Point is the most annoying thing I deal with in Berg's gym. The bugs are no match for Druddigon, so let's see if Berg is. Whirlipede is his lead. I have the Quick Claw on for this battle as a just in case. I set up to +3 on Whirlipede, thankfully not getting poisoned by Poison Tail or triggering Poison Point before one-shotting it with Slash. Dwebble comes out next. I have Crunch on my learn set now from leveling up in the gym, and I should have used it here, but I just leave my cursor on Slash, which will 2-shot. Dwebble just hits me with Smackdown, and last is Leavanny. Its Razor Leaf deals decent damage thanks to the Screech Whirlipede used early on, and Slash at +3 barely misses the knockout. Berg then burns through his Hyper Potions before I get a Quick Claw proc at the end of the battle to move first and finish off his ace. As I leave town, I have a battle with Bianca. I just set up to +1 with Hone Claws and crush her. The battle against Charon in the desert is a close one because of the constant chip damage from the sandstorm. I start off by setting up a Hone Claws, but now I want you to see this interaction. It says my Quick Claw activates, allowing me to move first, but it's Pidove who moves first with Quick Attack. And this happens twice in a row. Is it because of sheer force? I didn't see anything on Bulbapedia or any of the research that I did that shows it would cancel out the Quick Claw, or do priority moves used by the opponent beat out the Quick Claw? Let me know in the comments regarding that. I'm curious. Anyway, after I knock out Pidove, Druddigon levels up to 27 and can learn Dragon Claw, which I'm going to teach in the place of Dragon Rage, which has served its purpose. And with this new move, it shreds Charon's team, one-shotting everything. In Nimbasa City, trigger this interaction so I can travel to Anvil Town for a rare candy later, purchase the TM for return, grab strength, play dress up with Bianca, and crush N after the Ferris wheel ride. Now let's take on Elisa. Against Emolga number 1, I get a Quick Claw proc setting up Hone Claws as it goes for Pursuit. I set up a second as it hits me with 2 Aerial Aces before Dragon Claw takes it out, but I trigger Static, which is a bit unfortunate. I one-shot the second Emolga as well, who hits me with a weak Aerial Ace. I level up to 31 and can learn Chip Away, but I'm going to skip this move. Last is Zebstrika. Its Spark does half of my remaining HP thanks to a crit, as Druddigon can't move due to paralysis. Its next Spark does 10 HP, as once again Druddigon can't move due to paralysis. And then we see I get a Quick Claw proc, but Zebstrika uses Quick Attack and Druddigon faints. Okay, so I looked this up. This is what Google AI says regarding this. I also did some additional reading on PokemonDatabase.net, and from everything I found, the Quick Claw doesn't let you go first if the opponent uses a priority move. The explanation on Bulbapedia also kind of says this, but the other two are in much more detail. I never knew that, so question answered. Anyone who's already answered this in the comments for me though, thank you for feeding the algorithm. And for anybody who didn't know the answer for this and was just scared to ask, well, now you know. Anyway, in this second battle, I don't bother setting up. I'm just going to go for Dragon Claw. Unfortunately, I did trigger Static on the second Emolga, but at least I have green health for Zebstrika. It hits me with a Spark as I can't move due to paralysis, but on the next turn, Dragon Claw hits, and with no setup, it barely misses the one-shot. Elisa then burns through all of her Hyper Potions as Druddigon continues to get through paralysis and hit Dragon Claw before it can finally deal the finishing blow. The rival battle against Charon isn't a tough one, but the Liepard did use Torment, which is a bit annoying. I'm still able to 1 or 2 shot his entire team. Once I arrive in Driftville City, I'm going to head to the market to grab the Expert Belt. Another item that I end up grabbing but don't end up making use of is the Rocky Helmet. More item grabbing, PP up, Ether, Protein, and head through the cold storage. The plasma grunts at the end don't cause any problems, and I do get caught by 2 workers in here, which is a bit annoying. While in the cold storage, I level up to 35 and can learn Revenge, which I did teach in the place of Slash. Since Clay is upcoming, I figured having a fighting type move to have super effective damage on Excadrill was the play. One thing that I didn't mention earlier, while in Pinwheel Forest, I caught myself a Timpole, and it just so happened to have a Persim Berry on it, which I'm going to put on Druddigon before battling Clay, which will essentially give me a free +3 on the first turn, and that should be enough to sweep his team. Krokorok is his lead. Turn 1 I set up Hone Claws. It goes for Swagger, boosting my attack by 2 stages and confusing me, but my Persim Berry heals the confusion. Dragon Claw then one-shots. He sends out his Ace Excadrill next. After it sets up Hone Claws, Dragon Claw leaves it on a sliver. Clay burns through his Hyper Potions, but after his second, I decide to switch things up going for Revenge, which does get the one-shot. Last is Palpitoad, and Dragon Claw one-shots. Aside from the minor hiccup with the second Charon battle and Elisa, Druddigon hasn't struggled to this point. The battle with Bianca as I leave town is a bit close due to the chip damage from Hail, but all you have to do is set up with Hone Claws and sweep. Before you can enter Chargestone Cave, Clay actually opens up the way for you because it's blocked by a Galvantula web. I'm looking forward to running that thing, and he also gives you the TM for defeating him, which is Bulldoze at this time, which does get boosted by Sheer Force if I wanted to use that in my upcoming battle against N. Within Chargestone Cave though, there isn't much to talk about. The Plasma Grunts don't give Druddigon any problems. And before facing off with N, I go to the basement to grab the Bright Powder and the Rare Candy. I opted not to teach Bulldoze before battling N. I'm just gonna roll with Revenge a bit longer. I do take my time on the Bulldor setting up Hone Claws before going for Crunch, since it's going to be a 2-shot no matter what thanks to its sturdy ability. But then I switch to Dragon Claw, which doesn't finish it. A bit unfortunate. Dragon Claw can one-shot Joltik, along with Pharaoh Seed, and after knocking it out, Druddigon levels up to 40 and can learn Night Slash. I'm going to keep Crunch instead since it's boosted by Sheer Force. Last is Clink, and Revenge one-shots the Steel type. After entering Mistrolton City, I beeline it through Route 7 straight to the Celestial Tower. There is the TM for Shadow Claw here, which Druddigon can learn, but Sheer Force boosted Crunch is going to have more power against the likes of Caitlyn and Chantal. Once I reach the top of the tower, I speak with Skyla, ring the bell to join the Bellkeeper's Covenant. I hated Belfry Luna in Dark Souls 2. I also haven't played that game in about 10 plus years. And she heads back to her gym. Now let's take her on. No intro for her this week. Set up Hone Claws once, and then Crunch and Dragon Claw go burr. I have a battle with Charon before entering Twist Mountain. I've got to talk about this battle. I try to set up Hone Claws turn 1, but Air Slash from Unpheasant flinches me. I do manage to set up on the next turn, but because of damage from Air Slash and Hail, I'm at nearly half HP. Dragon Claw can one-shot Unpheasant and the following Pig Knight, but I take chip damage from the Hail in between, although I do get some HP back thanks to leveling up. Lipard then hits me with Fake Out and then Assurance, before Dragon Claw knocks it out. But now I only have 17 HP for Simisage, and this is looking like a reset. It goes for Seed Bomb, and Druddigon survives with 1 HP. If Dragon Claw can't get the one-shot, hail damage is going to take me out, and thankfully it does. That was close. Winter Twist Mountain, grab the hidden rare candy, the substitute TM, enter Iciris City and grab the winter rare candy, and enter the Iciris City gym. It's a shame that Druddigon can't learn Brick Break. It looks like it should be able to. I've kept Revenge to this point for super effective damage, but Dragon Claw is the superior move. And I still have the Yachi Berry that Iris gave me in Castelia City. Hopefully that means free setup and one-shot sweeps on Bryson's Pokemon. The absolute joke of a gym leader can't win against a Pokemon he has a type advantage against, right? Vanillish is his lead. I managed to set up to +4 with Hone Claws before it hits me with a Mirror Shot and then Frost Breath, burning my Yachi Berry. But Revenge should just one-shot his entire team from here. Beartic is next and it hits me with Swagger, boosting me to +6 but also confusing me. It gets one-shot and last is Cryogonal. It sets up Reflect, but as long as I don't hit myself, I won't lose to Bryson. Great. It's always a bit unfortunate losing to the failed gym leader turned actor. In the next battle, I only set up to +2, which can't one-shot Vanillish due to it using Acid Armor, although I do get Bryson to burn through all of his Hyper Potions before finishing it. Dragon Claw is enough to one-shot Beartic, and while Cryogonal hits me with an Aurora Beam, it's not enough, and Druddigon earns the Freeze badge. Dragon Spiral Tower, the home of Druddigon. And in my early runs, I actually used to pick one of these up for Surf and Strength. Still surprising that it can't learn Fly. Anyway, one thing to note while here is that I am going to pick up the Dragon Fang, which will boost the power of Dragon-type moves by 20%. Really, just Dragon Claw, because it's going to be the only Dragon move I use on my set from here on out. The back-to-back Plasma Grunts that myself and other content creators talk about aren't a problem for Druddigon. So we're going to jump to the top of the tower. Today, N is going to be playing the role of Noah Kaiba, who I guess traded in his Yamada dragon for a Red Eyes Black dragon. I've got nothing else to go with there, so let's jump to some errands before heading to Relic Castle. I fly back to Driftville City to grab the Shell Bell. I then grab the Anvil Town candy, Route 16 candy, Desert Resort candy, battle this ranger for a Rostberry, and then grab the heart scale for using later on. The only thing to note within Relic Castle is that when I battle this plasma grunt, after knocking out the Garbodor, Druddigon levels up to 49 and can learn Rock Climb, and I'll admit, I forgot exactly what this move did, so I lose a little bit of time checking, and since it has a chance to confuse the opponent, it'll get boosted by Sheer Force. We confront Getsus at the bottom, get the Light Stone from Lenora, and then fly back to Accumula Town and head to Route 2 to grab this rare candy. I'm going to be putting off the Pinwheel Forest candy until the post-game. I have one final battle against Bianca before I can enter Opelucid City. She's not a challenge, and neither are the trainers within Opelucid City Gym. No problems from Veteran Hugo or Ace Trainer Dara today. I don't even take a safety save before each of them. I just annihilate their team with Dragon Claw. The same is said for Drayden as well. 3 Dragon Claws, 3 one-shots. Easy 8th gym badge. I have the final battle against Charon before I can enter Victory Road, and while I wish I had more to say about this battle, just set up Hone Claws and go on a tear. In Victory Road, I'm going to pick up the extra rare candy, but Druddigon also levels up to 55 and can learn Superpower, which I teach in the place of Rock Climb. I wanted to teach this move to have an answer for Grimsley. Victory Road is also the home of the Dragon Claw TM. This is another item that I'm going to wait to pick up until the post-game, just to have a bit more move flexibility for round 2 of the league. But now it's time for Druddigon to take on round 1 of the league. We're going to start things off with Caitlyn, probably our easiest matchup on paper. Just leave your cursor on Crunch and you'll win. The Sigilif does outspeed me and hit me with an Ice Beam, but it doesn't do nearly enough to worry Druddigon. I decide to take on Marshall next. I can 2-shot his lead throw with Dragon Claw as it just misses Stone Edge and he sends out Sawk next. And I actually get amazing luck against this thing. It misses Stone Edge quite a bit, I get some Quick Claw procs, and I'm even able to set up a Hone Claws, while having Marshall burn through all of his full restores before taking it out. Unfortunately, even at +1, it's not enough to one-shot Conkeldurr, who hits me with Hammer Arm doing massive damage. I knock it out, and I need a Quick Claw proc against Mienshao to win, which I don't get, and Jump Kick finishes me. In the next battle, I don't even make it by Sawk, who takes me out with Stone Edge thanks to the critical hit. In battle number 3, I make it back to Mienshao, and I have green health, so I'm thinking I'm good, but then Jump Kick gets a critical hit to take me out. You've gotta be kidding me. I decide to take on Grimsley after that 3rd loss because his Scrafty likes to use Sand Attack. I'm going to set up Hone Claws, and I set up to +3 while taking 2 crunches in the process, before one-shotting it. Crocodile is next, and Intimidate lowers my attack 1 stage. Its Dragon Claw doesn't do as much as I anticipated, and Superpower one-shots it, while also lowering my attack and defense 1 stage. It'll also one-shot Bisharp, but now my attack is back at neutral and my defense is -2 for Liepard. It hits me with a Fake Out and then Night Slash, but Druddigon survives on 4 HP. The Shell Bell really helped out in this battle, a first try victory. After another loss to Marshall where I once again lost to Mienshao, I take on Chantal. I'm going to set up Substitute and set up Hone Claws behind it. Cofagrigus does break my sub once, and by the second time, I'm at +3 and decide to go for the sweep, which ends up happening. She does send out Chandelure before her final Pokemon Jellicent, and had I procced Flame Body, things could have looked differently, but another first try victory against a member of the league. Marshall is the only member left who I haven't beaten, and I have a plan in place. I'm going to set up Substitute so that I don't lose any speed from Throw's Bulldozes. I can set up to +2 before it breaks my sub, and I one-shot it with Dragon Claw. And like I did against Sawk in the first battle, I take a Stone Edge, get some Stone Edge misses, set up a 3rd Hone Claws, and get Marshall to burn through all of his full restores. I've got 2 good things going for me when I knock it out. The first is that I can one-shot Conkeldurr with all my setups, matchup. And the second is that I have green health for Mienshao. This time around, Jump Kick doesn't get a crit, and Dragon Claw hits and one-shots. I didn't think Marshall would give me the most problems in round 1. I thought that would be Grimsley. I have 10 candies in my bag, and I'm going to use 6 to bring myself to level 65. I'm also going to keep my moveset the same. Dragon Claw, Substitute, Hone Claws, and Crunch. Now, let's face N. Zekrom is his lead. I set up Hone Claws turn 1 and Substitute turn 2 before knocking it out with a Dragon Claw. Vanillix follows and breaks my sub with Blizzard, but I don't believe I have anything to worry about. Well, Archeops had something to say about that, because its Dragon Claw does a lot of damage, bringing me under half HP. Kling Klang comes out next and Dragon Claw is going to two-shot. I try to set up a Substitute, but my HP is too low, and while I can take it out, Zoroark can just clean me up. And in terms of real time, I lost about 4 minutes just battling against N over and over again. I could make it to Zoroark, who he sends out 5th multiple times, but I just don't have enough HP to take an attack from it. And I'm not going to show you every loss, but I am going to use the rest of my rare candies to bring me to level 69. Nice. I'm also going to teach Rest in the place of Crunch. Against Zekrom, I want to set up, but I also want to have as much HP as possible for the remainder of N's party, and I would like to have a substitute in place. While I don't have one in place for Vanillix, at least Druddigon outspeeds it now, so I don't need to worry about Blizzard. Archeops, however, is still faster, but this time it hits me with Acrobatics as Dragon Claw one-shots. Kling Klang comes out 4th, and I'm going to use this time to try and heal up with Rest and get a substitute in place. And I end up with a sub in place and at full HP by the time I knock it out. Zoroark breaks my sub, but Dragon Claw shreds the Dark type. And while I have to two-shot Caracosta due to its sturdy ability, Stone Edge doesn't do nearly enough, and N is finally defeated. You already know the strategy on Getsis. Set up sub to block Toxic, set up Hone Claws, and sweep. I only set up to +4, which is more than enough for Druddigon to get the sweep and clock in. It finishes the game at level 70 with a real time of 1 hour 45 minutes and 44 seconds, with an in-game time of 5 hours and 17 minutes. This is my best in-game time to date, and earns Druddigon the top spot of the S tier. And something that happened as I'm editing this video, Scott released his tier list software, and I would eventually like to incorporate that into my videos, but for now, I'm just gonna use this document I made in Canva. Although Druddigon is slow, it had all of the tools it needed to succeed. But how will it perform in the post-game? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is grab the HM for Waterfall to give myself access to a few candies. Then I backtrack to Pinwheel Forest for a candy I skipped previously. I'm also going to grab the Lostlorn candy, Anvil Town candy, along with the Abundant Shrine candy later. Next, I take a trip to Mistralton Cave. I'm going to pick up the TM for Rock Slide because I think it'll help out against Alder, along with an additional rare candy in Cabalion's Chamber. Now it's off to Undella Town for some blackout grinding against Cynthia, and I spent a good 5 minutes real time just blacking out over and over, and it's very easy to do. Early on in the process, I'm only able to knock out about 2 to 3 of them, but later on when I can knock out at least 5, I can just spam Hone Claws or Substitute until the final Pokemon knocks me out. And if you're someone who uses the Lucky Egg in your runs, then this is going to be a lot of experience for you to prepare for round 2 of the league. I'm not going to show you every blackout because that would just be pointless and boring, but I start this process at level 70 and go until level 77, and I will reach level 78 when I defeat her. If you have a setup move though, Cynthia is not hard to defeat. Just set up behind your Substitute and hopefully sweep. which is exactly what I do in the winning attempt. Before taking on round 2 of the league, I heart scale back on Superpower and Crunch. I picked up one in the Desert Resort, but grabbed a second heart scale in Driftville, but I'm also going to grab the Dragon Claw TM like I mentioned earlier for more move flexibility. We're going to start round 2 off with Caitlyn since she was so easy for us in round 1, and nothing much changes regarding that in round 2. Her lead Musharna does hit me with a Hypnosis and sets up Reflect, but Druddigon wakes up before it can hit me with Dream Eater. With the Reflect up though, +2 Crunch isn't enough to one-shot her lead, but she's going to use a full restore, so I set up an additional Hone Claws, because I also want to be able to one-shot her Steel types in the back. The Sigilif still outspeeds me like it did in round 1, and Ice Beam does 100 HP of damage, but I've got nothing else to worry about. At +3, Crunch even one-shots her Metagross and Bronzong, which is nice. Caitlyn, once again, the easiest member for us. After 2 quick losses to Grimsley, I decide to take on Chantal next, and I should have reset immediately after the Cophagrigus burned me with Will-O-Wisp, but I played this battle out, somehow making it to the Drifblim with both Curse from Golurk and burn damage chipping away at me each turn. Before the next battle, I delete Dragon Claw for Substitute. It would be foolish to delete Hone Claws, and I'm keeping Superpower for at least Grimsley. I get set up to +6 before Cophagrigus breaks my sub, but I can just re-establish it, and when it fails to break my sub with Shadow Ball, I have it in place for a Pokemon like Frostlass, who is faster but just misses a Blizzard. The one thing that had me worried in this battle was the possibility of Jellicent's Curse Body disabling Crunch, but that doesn't happen here, and although Drifblim breaks my sub, even after Aftermath and the Shell Bell recovery, I'm still in green health for Chandelure, whose Shadow Ball can't do nearly enough. 2 members down. Marshall is next, and I did have 2 quick losses to him. I couldn't get by his Breloom. In the first attempt, it didn't bother going for Spore, where it's just spamming the move over and over in this attempt. Instead, it just kept going for Sky Uppercut over and over, which would break my sub and deal too much damage to Druddigon, and in my second attempt, I triggered Effect Spore and just reset immediately. After setting up to +2, I don't want to chance things. I knock out Breloom, knock out Mienshao who just goes for Fake Out, and I have to 2-shot Sawk because of the Sturdy ability, who breaks my sub. I try to re-establish it on the full restore turn, but Stone Edge just breaks it again. No matter, I can one-shot the following throw, but then Toxicroak outspeeds me and poisons me with Toxic. If this thing was his lead or he had sent it out second and used Toxic, I'd be worried, but it's his second to last Pokemon. Druddigon has nothing to worry about. Round 2 Grimsley is a problem. The first problem is his lead Sharpedo. It's faster and could flinch with Waterfall over and over, or it can deal big damage with Night Slash if it were to crit, and while it has paper-thin defenses, Rough Skin will deal back damage to me once I knock it out, and I want to be able to set up for the Pokemon that I have to deal with after it, like Drapion and Crocodile. I tried a few things, like putting on the Bright Powder to see if I could get some lucky misses, but that doesn't get me far. Eventually, I decided to teach Rest in the place of Dragon Claw, and dump the PP ups I've picked up to this point into Superpower. I'm just going to jump to the winning attempt, because showing loss after loss gets boring, and I had to sift through about 6 minutes of just Grimsley footage to find this. But this battle took around 2.5 minutes real time, so around 10 minutes in-game time, and just Sharpedo alone was just under 2 minutes real time. Let that sink in. Since Superpower is going to be my only attacking move, I have little margin for error, but if I can get set up, the attack drop shouldn't matter, especially since it's a 120 base power move that deals super effective damage against all of Grimsley's Pokemon, with the exception of Drapion who it's neutral against. And as you can see, against Sharpedo, I'm just going to stall it with Rest and Substitute with the Bright Powder on, hopefully getting some misses. It eventually runs out of PP of Night Slash and Waterfall and has to go for Aqua Jet and Earthquake, which aren't doing nearly enough to Druddigon. I'm able to knock it out with a sub in place, and from here, I can just go for Superpower. While I do re-establish my Substitute on Liepard, which could have backfired, but it doesn't, and it probably helped against Drapion, tanking an attack, and that's the last league member down. While he wasn't the most problematic member in round 1, Grimsley definitely was in round 2. Before taking on Alder, I'm going to make one moveset adjustment, deleting Rest for Rock Slide. But as you'll soon see, the strongest trainer in Unova was ready to punish me for a stupid mistake like that. Excelgor is the lead. I'm able to get in 2 Home Claws for free because it goes for me first twice. I got greedy for a third, but of course, Excelgor is faster and Bug Buzz does around a quarter, but this is where I make a mistake. I try to set up a substitute the next turn. After Bug Buzz and substitute, I'm at 38 HP, and while I'm able to get by Excelgor and Alder's Druddigon, Vanillix is faster and Flash Cannon finishes me, and I make the same mistake in the very next battle, and for some reason, I thought it would work in the third attempt. Nope. Excelgor crits with Bug Buzz, I don't have enough HP for a substitute, and I lose. Battle number 4, I lose to Vanillix again. At this point, I've taught Rest in the place of Superpower, but I forgot to put on a Chesto Berry in this battle, and you know what happens, I lose to Excelgor. In total, I spent a good 6 minutes of real time just stuck at Alder. I hate Excelgor. Why is this thing such a problem as a lead but is absolutely trash in a solo run? What I should be doing is after setting up to +2, I should just go for it, but +3 just feels like the right number, and in this attempt, I do manage to get to +3 while utilizing the good old Resto Chesto strats so I don't lose. And now I'm just going to go for it. Rock Slide takes out Excelgor and the following Druddigon, and Alder sends out Vanillix third like usual, but instead of going for Blizzard, he chooses Acid Armor, perhaps because he doesn't see the KO. Rock Slide is super effective in one-shots, and he sends out Cavalier next, and I hesitated on what to do. Should I set up a substitute? Should I use Home Claws again? Or should I just go for Rock Slide? I choose option 3, which at +3 one-shots the armored bug, thankfully. Perfect. Volcarone is next, and it sets up Quiver Dance. It's 4 times weak to Rock Slide, so you already know what happens. Last is Bouffalant, and at +3, with Sheer Force also boosting Rock Slide, it gets the one-shot. Druddigon finishes the postgame with a time of 40 minutes and 53 seconds, a good 10 plus of those minutes spent on just Grimsley and Alder, at level 86 with a cumulative game time of 6 hours and 49 minutes. In terms of my postgame tier list, Druddigon was alright. It was slightly faster than Beartic, just missing out on the B tier, which still no Pokemon have gotten into, and for now, it earns the top spot in the C tier. Following up Excelgor with Mewtwo and this thing were honestly a breath of fresh air, although I did record Sawsbuck and Beartic after Excelgor as well. And there's a Pokemon I'm excited to run because I think it can take the top spot in both tier lists. So next time in Generation 5, I'm going to be running Stoutland. After seeing Scott run it, I'm excited to see what it can do. And I'm finishing this voiceover before Shadow Stitch releases his video, but I'm sure it also did very well. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. I've got a lot of ideas and a lot of videos I want to make, and I hope 2026 is the best year for the channel to date. I'll catch you in my next one. Take care, everybody.